in Sacramento. They drop 154 points on the Sacramento Kings. And I got to tell you, Jake, the guy that I was most impressed with was Bojan Bogdanovic. Him attacking the basket. Bojan Bogdanovic is a guy who largely plays on the floor and can usually jump about as high as a credit card. And he tried to dunk on some dudes in the fourth quarter. It was really impressive to see him change stylistically and attack the basket.
Yeah, I think it's what they needed. I think this team, with what they're dealing with the injuries, is desperate for somebody who will attack the basket, and that was Bogey last night. I thought that the Jazz came out sort of with this attitude of, proving a point, which is, hey, we might have some injuries, but that doesn't mean that we're going to lose to this Kings team. We're just not going to allow that, especially with the Suns right behind us. And so last night they come out. I love that Bogey was pushing the issue on the inside multiple times, getting fouled, getting high percentage looks in the paint. I really like the energy and the mindset that they rolled out last night. I mean, that is what we want to see from this team. So often this team rolls out with, hey, we're just going to play pick and roll and shoot the three. And don't get me wrong, last night they shot a good amount of threes as usual. The difference was they were making them last night. But my point is that they came out in this game and clearly set the tone of, hey, we're coming out, we're going to dominate you, and we're not leaving this game to question. We're not doing the, hey, we're going to the fourth quarter down by 10 thing again. We're going to control this game. We're going to make sure we leave here with a win, and we're going to get to Friday night ready to go. And I think that you have to give the Jazz a lot of credit for handling business, because it would have been easy to lose this game and to say, well, we don't have Don, we don't have Conley. We're playing really shorthanded, and they were just better than us tonight. And that's not what happened, and I was really happy to see that.
Yeah, and I think one of the critical things that you have to consider, especially coming out of a win like this where you performed at such a high level, is were you trying to prove a point? Were you sending a message last night with the way you played? You scored a franchise record 154 points. It was remarkable. You got great performances out of Jordan Clarkson. I thought what George Niang gave you, the crossover SUV, shot the three really well, attacked the basket early. I think what we saw this Utah Jazz team was a team that was embarrassed by their back-to-back losses to Minnesota. I think we saw a team that wanted to send a message to Phoenix that said, hey, we're coming. See you on Friday night. We're ready to go. And I think this team wanted to send a message that it doesn't matter who's on the floor. They still believe, Jake, that they're the best team in the Western Conference.
Yeah, and I think that's really, really important. Like this team can't get to a place, and they can't get to a place where they don't believe in themselves. And I think, yesterday we talked about Quinn Snyder a lot, and him having the responsibility and the weight on his shoulders to make sure that even though this team is depleted and missing its two best players, its two most influential players right now, that they're still a really good team. And I think that this was, with the back-to-back losses to Minnesota and how you felt leaving that two-game set, coming into this game against this Kings team who also was depleted, I don't think there's really any question that they were trying to prove a point last night. Whether it was to Phoenix or not, I'm not sure. Obviously, that's kind of built in. That goes without saying. But I think this was more for them. They needed to be able to say to themselves, okay, enough of this nonsense. We're not playing down to teams like the T-Wolves anymore, the Kings. We're coming out and we're routing these teams because we're the best team in the league. And we need to show that to ourselves. And then when we do that, when Friday gets here, we're ready to go. We're ready to go mentally. We're ready to go physically. And when we're 100%, we're executing at a really high level. And I think this game Friday night, tomorrow night, is for the season. If you lose this game tomorrow night, this is going to be a roller coaster to finish the year. And I think that this game, unlike the first game, this game will be even closer. This game, I feel like, will be. This is a playoff game. Let's just call it what it is. This is a playoff game, and this is their first real test they've had in quite some time. So I think they're in the best position possible to go win.
Yeah, and I think that the message that was also sent last night is, if you're a really crappy, historically bad defensive team, Good morning, Sacramento. You are going to get torched by the Utah Jazz. I mean, and this perhaps is the biggest difference, is you don't have the Edwards on the floor. You don't have, guys like Devin Booker and Chris Paul.
D'Lo.
You don't have D'Angelo Russell. You don't have, Mikal Bridges. You don't have athletic wing players that can attack the three-point stripe defensively. And I think that's what you saw in Sacramento last night, was a team in the Kings that, one, you were depleted. Like, you didn't have De'Aaron Fox. You didn't have Harrison Barnes. You didn't have your best complement of players, and it really hurt you. And if you're the Utah Jazz, you did exactly what you should have done. You destroyed the Sacramento Kings, who are just, by the way, Luke Walton's got to be on the clock.
Yeah.
He has to be on the clock.
Yeah.
I don't know any other coach that would survive this on any other team. And don't forget, the Maloofs don't own the Kings anymore. So why is Luke Walton still the head coach? Anyway, the point is, listen, the Utah Jazz did their job last night,
Seriously.
and they did it impressively. And James Knight, good morning to you from down under. Yes, absolutely, I agree with you. When the three ball's going, I think Phoenix can stay. He says when the three ball's falling for the Jazz, Phoenix cannot stay with the Jazz. I don't agree with that, because I think what you see that's different, and this is something I think that the Jazz have to guard against, and that is that you can't get too high on the 154 you dropped on Sacramento, because it was Sacramento, one of the worst defensive teams in the history of the NBA. Now, though, what you can do is feed off of that confidence. Bogey doesn't shoot the three well, but how awesome was it to see him back guys down right out of the gate in the first quarter? How awesome was it in the fourth quarter seeing him trying to dunk on two Kings? Joe Ingles is a guy that hasn't had a lot of swagger the last week and a half. You felt like he got a lot of that back last night. Jordan Clarkson played well. You just got performances out of everybody. And I think that's really important. It's important, and I know that we talk about this a lot on this show. Ersan Ilyasova has to play quality minutes for this team. They're going to need him in the postseason. You cannot play 7 guys in the postseason. You cannot rely on 7, maybe 8 guys in the postseason, because it's too much of a grind.
Yeah.
So, Jake, those are the things that I take away from this game last night.
Yeah, and I think those are all valid. And I think the one thing I would say about James's comment is that the difference is that I think the reason the Suns can hang with the Jazz is because the Suns are not going to permit the Jazz to just go ahead and shoot as whatever they want from three ball land. So
That's right.
the Phoenix Suns, the thing that I think you need to be worried about with the Suns if you're a Jazz fan is that the Suns are a very dynamic team on many levels. So, like, defensively, last night, what do I see? I see a as usual, an inconsistent DeAndre Ayton, but a DeAndre Ayton that made some plays for them last night defensively. Got some turnovers, did some things, got them some easy buckets. And then the thing is the Suns are good enough when you give them those chances, they're going to convert those chances. There's a reason that Devin Booker has a reputation about him. Last night he had it going. He looked really good, and I think that they controlled that game. So Friday, tomorrow, and we'll talk about this more in depth tomorrow, but I'm telling you, this game is not going to be a 135 to 130 game. This is going to be a 105, 103 kind of game that's going to be a battle, and it's just going to be who makes more shots late. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, and again, I think one of the most important performances last night was Jordan Clarkson. I don't know how to succinctly say it other than to say he's such a vital part of their offense. He has to shoot well. For the Jazz to play a high level of basketball offensively. Because when he's missing the transition, opportunities for, in this case, it'll be Phoenix, the transition opportunity for a team like the Suns, they're lethal that way. When he's missing, there's no flow in the offense. The other thing that I think was really important is, what did we see Jordan Clarkson doing last night? Saw him push that ball along a little bit more. Right? Not just being a black hole, that extra pass that we complained that Jordan Clarkson wasn't making. 2-3 times last night we saw him throw that ball to the left, which I think is really important.
Quinn was complaining too, clearly.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't, because I think the one thing that was clear last night, the ball was moving for the Jazz. And when this team keeps that ball in motion, they're going to get an open look. And when you're the Jazz, you're getting open looks and you shoot the three ball as well as they do. That's a formula to win. So you need to reverse the basketball. You need to move the basketball. The other thing I thought was important is something that a lot of people talked about on this show yesterday.
Yeah.
Get some interior presence. And I think that the last night, I think we saw the Jazz playing in the paint more than we thought they would. The one knock that I would have on that is I still think you have to give Rudy Gobert the basketball.
Yeah.
And I know that you don't want to, and I know that a lot of guys on this team don't believe that if you give Gobert the basketball, it's going to end well because he doesn't pass and he's not a quality, polished finisher.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get him the ball in the restricted area in the paint, he's going to dunk that ball. And it's going to give you momentum. And when you're missing critical pieces like Conley and Don, you've got to give the ball to Rudy Gobert no matter what happens because it just brings guys off the three-point stripe. And that is so important for this team.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that we can sit here and talk about the limitations of Rudy Gobert. We've talked about it to death, really. But I think the most important thing is that nobody can deny him when he is in that area of the floor. So, I think, again, I'll keep referencing this. They played the Pacers earlier this year. And in that specific game, and I haven't really seen them do it since, in that game, they came out and they just fed Rudy on the pick and roll. They just let him eat. And that, I would love to see them do that more early in games because that does really benefit them later in games. It's like in a boxing match when early in the fight you go to the body to take the wind out of the fighter, and then later in the fight you're knocking him out. That's what giving Rudy the ball early does to defenses. So I would love to see that, but again, I just want to emphasize, whether we're talking Jordan Clarkson, whether we're talking, Bogey trying to dunk on guys, they did this against the Sacramento Kings. So I love what they did, but just take it with a grain of salt at the same time.
And I'm not going to go there with you on that. I think they needed to feel good about themselves.
Well, they can feel good about it, but what I'm saying is Bogdanovic is not dunking on the Suns, right? That's not happening. Jordan Clarkson Friday night is not going to show up for 25 like he did last night. That's not happening.
And you may be right about that, but I don't think those specific things matter. I don't think there is a Jazz man this morning who's going to wake up and say, "Oh yeah, we're the best team in the NBA again. Look what we did to Sacramento." No, that's not the. I don't think that's the reaction you have to this game. Mm-hmm. But the reaction you do have to this game is, oh, hey, yeah, the ball will go in the hole if I shoot it. Hey, look at me. I can play with my back to the basket, and my name is not Bojan, it's Bojan, right? Look at me. I can dunk on guys.
Yeah, they got their confidence back. There's no doubt about that. I agree with you on that. I 100% agree. But what I'm saying is just if you watch that game last night, I just want Jazz fans to be realistic about their expectations with the Suns game tomorrow night. That's all I'm saying. I think that this Kings game turned out to be a punching bag game, which is you took them to the woodshed and you got your confidence back. And I maintain that they are in the most ideal situation to win this game Friday night. They've done everything that they can do outside of get Don and Mike back to go out and win this game. And I think that's all you can ask.
They've got to have Conley Friday night.
I don't know that happens,
man. It's
man.
not optional. Sean Mirzinski, good morning to you. He says there's a big difference between Sacramento and Phoenix. Yes. Mina Gray says good evening. Hope life is good in the Philippines, Mina. Thanks for being here. Casey Finlinson, good morning to you, my friend. Big day for BYU.
Yep, big day.
Your highest
Historic
NFL
day.
draft pick ever. Will happen tonight. Casey Finlinson says, still have my concerns with this team. The Jazz have done this all year, beat up on bad teams, and more often than not, struggle with playoff caliber teams. He also says the lineup with Gobert and Ilyasova both is very good for the Jazz. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But Ersan's got to make his threes. I mean, if this is going to be a good lineup that really makes a difference, I mean, his three ball's got to go in, or he doesn't carry a lot of value.
Listen, it's the whole team. It's the whole team, Ersan or otherwise. Jordan Clarkson, you got to make your threes.
Yeah.
Bogey, you got to make your threes because you're not dunking on Devin Booker or DeAndre Ayton. That ain't happening. So, whether it's Ersan, Jordan Clarkson, Royce O'Neal when he does get his opportunities because he doesn't get as many. Again, when they make their threes, yes, they're the best team in the league. The problem is they don't make their threes often enough against playoff caliber teams.
Right.
And so I think to Casey's point, that is a good diagnosis of where you should be as a Jazz fan. Now, last thing I would say about this is if you come out Friday night and you shoot 58% from three against the Suns and you dominate them, it's over. I mean, they're not keeping up with you.
You're not shooting 58% against the Suns.
I would love to see them be at 40.
Monty Williams will kick somebody in the groin.
Yeah.
On national TV. If they shoot
You go out and handle the
58%.
Clippers like you did, and then you let the Jazz shoot 58%. Come on now.
The Mitch says, Jake, it never ends. When are you going to say something positive? Monty's trying to be positive, and you won't shut up.
I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it.
Shut up, Jake.
I ain't going to sit here and
you
sugarcoat
shut your mouth.
Apologize.
I'm not apologizing, bro.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
You shut your mouth.
I'm not apologizing. I'm not apologizing, bro.
Spirited person.
From the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
I'm just telling you guys.
Jake does whatever the he wants.
Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Mike says, this game is meaningless. I don't care about confidence. Go beat Phoenix. Well, Mike, you're not wrong. I mean, the game's not meaningless. It's not. It'll be meaningless if you lose to Phoenix. And,
agreed.
You know, the other thing is, and look, I love Jazz fans, but where's my guy, Tricky T?
Boy.
Tricky T. Tricky T is both an Eagles fan and a Jazz fan, so somebody should go to his house and do a wellness check tonight. But he says they're going to lose the 1 seed on Friday. The Jazz were swept by the crap T-Wolves, and that wasn't supposed to happen. They're still frauds, and Friday will come. Will continue to prove it. Okay. Look, man, you can choose that path, my friend. You can choose that path. I think they're gonna go to Phoenix on Friday night. And I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at this. I need to know if Mike Conley's gonna play.
Yeah.
If Mike Conley plays, I think the Jazz have a really good chance to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix is not a home court advantage. It just isn't at this point. I think the Suns are one of the best road teams. I don't think they're elite at home. And I think that the Jazz, if Mike Conley plays, I think the Jazz have a real chance to win that game. So tomorrow, with our preview, we'll have a real good look at it because I do think there's a pretty good chance that Mike Conley plays. I have it pretty good that Donovan Mitchell's not going to play. He won't even be evaluated until tomorrow. So I don't think he's going to play. There's a lot of people on Twitter saying that Don's going to come back for this game. I don't think so.
It's been. I've heard it both ways. I've heard what you're saying, and I've also heard that he's going to try and come back. So we'll just have to see what happens.
Casey Finlinson says, "Got to get some BYU swag for the studio." Well, right above my shoulder here, and you probably can't see it, is the Johnny Harleen John Beck autograph football from Man Camp. Many.
That's a K-fan reference.
Many years ago. What was that, 2014? Man Camp! Yeah. It was amazing. So I do have some BYU swag. A lot of BYU fans hate that we have the hawk there, the eagle. We get it. It is what it is. Casey Finlinson says, dude, I can't wait for tonight. Leaving work early to make sure I'm home for the strap.
Let's go.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's go.
Why the high opinion in Phoenix, guys? They have had some issues with form themselves. Well, sure they have, but they also showed up in really big games. I mean, if you look at like last night's a perfect example. Devin Booker last night did not shoot well. Him and Cam Johnson continue to struggle from three. And they still beat the Clippers 109-101. Mm-hmm. Because why are we high on the Suns? They have really good depth. They have quality depth off their bench. When you are playing a team like the Clippers that doesn't have great size, you're able to leverage a guy like Frank Kaminsky for 13 points in 15 minutes. It gives you a 3-pointer, 2 rebounds. I mean, it's everything you want from a role player. I look at Cameron Payne last night. This guy has played incredible basketball at the guard spot off the bench. He actually is able to, build a bridge to Chris Paul being able to get some minutes on the bench to rest. Like he's giving them like quality minutes. I look at Carter. I look at, even Cam Johnson when he's not shooting the three well, he only gives you 2 points, but he also gives you 6 rebounds and a dime.
Yeah.
Like he moves the ball well. He plays good team basketball. I look at the fact that Booker, Paul, and Bridges gave you really significant moments last night. Book not hitting the three well. He was 1 of 6 from 3, but attacking the basket, playing at the rim, getting fouled, getting the team into the penalty. They are not a one-dimensional team. And I'll say again, the thing that worries me about the Utah Jazz the most out of anything is that if the three's not going in, they don't have a way to score in numbers. If the three doesn't go in, the Jazz don't score 100. And that's a real problem. Last night, the Phoenix Suns scored 109 points on one of the better defensive teams in the league in the Clippers, and they only shot 35% from three. The Jazz don't have that ability. That really worries me, especially when you get to the playoffs, Jake, and it's a half-court game, and everything's compressed, and that three is going to be contested every single time.
Yeah.
That really worries me.
Should worry you.
And the other thing that you're seeing, and Minnesota didn't do this, Minnesota wasn't switching everything, right? What did the Kings do last night? They tried to switch and go under everything.
Mm-hmm.
The Suns are not going to switch everything. You're starting to see now that teams are not switching, and they're allowing the two-point basket to happen. They're allowing Rudy Gobert to roll in the paint and get a dunk instead of giving up a three.
They want that.
Yeah, teams are willing to give up two to the Jazz. They're not willing to give up three.
Yeah.
And I think it's a brilliant strategy, frankly.
Yeah, and I think teams are also saying that, hey, if we're gonna if we have to pick our poison, we're definitely gonna pick battling you in the paint. But we also feel good about battling you in the paint because Rudy Gobert is not skilled offensively in that regard. So he's not skilled in the sense of, hey, give it to him, put him on the block, and all of a sudden he's going to give you a 40 spot. That's not who Rudy is. And that's why I think you see a lot of teams funnel the Jazz into the paint, because if it's Rudy, if it's Bogdanovic, certainly, if it's Mike Conley, those guys can be had if you're prepared for it. If you're not ready for it, they're going to hit the floater. They're going to get high percentage looks. But if you're prepared like you would be going into Friday night or a postseason series, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, Tyler says, Monty, I'll give you credit. I used to think all you did was hate the Jazz for clickbait. But actually, I think you genuinely hate the Jazz, but you're not wrong. So wait, let me see if I understand. Let me take if I can reverse engineer this stuff. So wait, I used to hate the Jazz for clickbait, but now I genuinely hate the Jazz, but I'm not wrong. So wait, am I being a hater if I'm not wrong? I don't know. I don't. You should go talk to your bishop. I'm worried about your inner demons.
I started having second thoughts.
I agree. I don't hate the Jazz at all. I mean, I think Jazz fans are some of the longest suffering fans. Frankly, it's why my license plate says flu game. Oh wait. No, that's because I'm a hater. Anyway, the point is, but not that my point is, Jazz fans are some of the longest suffering fans in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love nothing more than to see the Utah Jazz win a championship. That's not going to happen this season. And I think it's because I look around the league last night and I look at the Lakers, who are playing without LeBron James. They get beat by Washington, and Anthony Davis has a meltdown and talks about how this just isn't good enough and we need to figure it out.
And it's going to go into crisis lockdown mode here at the house.
Yeah, like, I mean, to me, isn't that exactly the response you want?
Yes.
Right? I mean, you want to be yelling, Mom, get us the meatloaf.
Yeah.
I love the Wedding Crashers drops. My God. Winning, do you really care about winning in the regular season?
I don't give a baker's fuck.
Well, I think Anthony Davis does. I actually think he does.
Clearly.
Because they lose to the Whiz Kids last night, 116-107.
The Whiz Kids.
That's all
I haven't heard that one. I like that.
I didn't want to take make a taking a leak reference, so I didn't.
Okay.
Until I just did. But Anthony Davis is back. I mean, 26 points, 2 of 5 from 3, 5 boards, 2 dimes, 3 steals, 2 blocks.
And those numbers go up when LeBron comes back.
Anthony Davis is back.
Yeah.
And you're getting now, and you know what you saw last night that I thought was fascinating? You saw a lot of Anthony Davis and Andre Drummond together.
Mm-hmm.
And Andre Drummond gives you 17 and 11 with 2 steals, a block, and 2 dimes.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
Right? So the Lakers are upset that they lost a game that rightfully they probably should have lost. They're playing one of the hottest teams in the NBA. And Bradley Beal was very Bradley Beal last night with 27 points. And he only had, 9 points of those were on threes.
Yeah.
Bradley Beal was a stud last night. And I think That's the kind of expectation I want this Jazz team to have. That when we lose, and it's unacceptable we lose, whether it's by a point or by 30 points. It's completely unacceptable we played like that. And meaningfully, not Luka Doncic throwing a water bottle, I've got to be better, my mom's hot. Like, no, that's not the kind of unacceptable. The kind of unacceptable is that you're upset and there's real conversations about, Rudy, you cannot blow a defensive assignment with 4 seconds left on D'Angelo Russell. That's completely unacceptable.
What's wrong with you?
Right? Like, I mean, you have to have a really high bar of perfection. And I don't see that out of this Jazz team right now.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of that. I think that it really just depends who they're playing, man. I think that losing to the Timberwolves twice is embarrassing. I mean, that is for this team.
It's unacceptable.
You can't roll out 154 against the Kings and then lose twice to the Wolves. I mean, that's just not. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I think at the end of the day, your season's going to be decided tomorrow night. I truly believe that.
I just don't agree with that.
Well,
I think that you're completely writing off the schedule. At some point, the Phoenix Suns are going to hit the wall. Because if you look at what's on their schedule, look at the stretch they're coming out of right now, going into this Jazz game. You can go all the way back to the middle of April, and that road trip at Milwaukee win, at Sixers win, back-to-back losses to at Boston and at Brooklyn. Now you've come back and beaten the hottest team in the NBA, the New York Knicks, at the Garden, and you've beaten the Clippers at home, and now you play Utah on Friday night at home. Right, but then,
dude, this team is battle tested. I don't know how to say it. Like I don't know.
They got to turn around and play a very game OKC team on the road Sunday.
That's a win. That's a win for them.
At Cleveland,
win.
At Atlanta,
win for sure.
Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 games in 4 days.
How many bad teams?
Well, you know what? I don't know. I wouldn't. Okay.
So here's my thing.
Record-wise, they're bad teams. But you're going to get a fight out of OKC.
But here's what I'm saying. So the schedule conversation.
Yes.
Hey, the Jazz should beat the T-Wolves, the Kings, and be ready to go for the Suns.
Yes.
Oh, we're going to drop both against the T-Wolves. We're going to light up the Kings. What are we doing against Phoenix?
You're probably going to lose to Phoenix. Frankly, you're probably going to lose to Phoenix.
But here's my point. Here's what I'm getting to. The Suns, on the other hand, their perspective and their day-to-day is, hey, we're playing good team after good team here. Like we're playing the Nets, the Knicks. We're playing all these really good teams. We're playing the Clippers. By the way, we're only down 1 game. We've played all these really difficult games while the Jazz are playing really easy games, and we're only down 1 game. So I don't think if you're the Suns, you're sitting here like necessarily like, man, we still got a lot of tough games to go. Like, I think all they're doing is they're just saying, hey, we have to go 1 game at a time. And if we keep doing that and we keep focusing on the execution with Chris Paul and Devin Booker and the bench mob, we're going to be fine. And that's why I say, like, for the Suns versus the Jazz, I don't worry about the schedule with the Suns. I think that they've gone through trial and tribulation again and again and again, whether it was the bubble.
Maybe I'm just not saying it right. I don't think they're going to let down against the Jazz. I think that OKC, Cleveland, Atlanta trip has 2 losses in it. I think if you look at the fact then the Knicks come here and then you got to go Lakers on the road at the Lakers, at the Warriors, home for Portland, and then you finish 2 at San Antonio, the Jazz are winning the Western Conference.
We'll see, dude. We'll see.
There's just no doubt about it.
Listen, we can't sit here and say that we have the utmost confidence in this Jazz team to win the games that they should win because they haven't shown us that recently.
Okay.
And I think the Suns, to be fair, the Suns have dropped games that they shouldn't drop either. But what I'm saying is that I hear all the time in the comments, and you see it too. Oh, well, the Jazz don't beat good teams, and they just beat up on bad teams, and we see that consistently. Whereas the Suns are beating the Sixers, they're beating the Knicks, they're beating whatever team you want to point to, the Clippers. Like, so that's why I say I have more trust in the Suns to go out and get it done against tougher teams than I do in the Jazz right now. That being said, the Jazz are still up by 1 game. They're still looking down on the Suns. If they take care of business tomorrow night, yeah, they probably win the West. But I'm just telling you, I would not just assume that the Jazz are going to win the West because I don't think that that's where we are.
Well, I also look at the Jazz schedule, and I mean, they're at home most of the rest of the way.
Which is a huge advantage, no doubt.
And that home court advantage is real. We're going to be there Saturday night against Toronto. I'm really looking forward to that. The Jazz schedule at Phoenix, Friday, Saturday home for Toronto. Then they go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So they only play every other day here coming up, where it's Toronto Saturday, San Antonio Monday, San Antonio Wednesday, Denver Friday, and then back-to-back Houston Saturday.
Can you honestly tell me you're confident they're going to beat the Raptors?
They're going to go 5-0 on that stretch.
You're insane, dude. You're insane. No
Why
way.
am I insane?
Because there's no way that this team is going to roll out and go 5-0 against all those teams right there. They're definitely not going to be in an easy game against Denver. Denver's going to come for them. I'm not saying Denver's going to win that game, but that's going to be
Denver's
an absolute
playing pretty
war.
good basketball.
That's going to be a war. I look at Toronto on Saturday night. You're going to play a good gritty Toronto team after your battle with the Suns. That's no gimme game right there. That is no gimme. And then in terms of San Antonio, yeah, you should win both of those. But I don't think that you're somehow just going to go 5-0.
Well, in that 5-game stretch, I think that the fifth one is the most difficult one, which is at Golden State. And I think that Denver found out the hard way that going to Golden State's not easy.
But then Golden State gets lit by Luka and Dallas, and that's why, like I'm not saying Golden State's a pushover team. They've done really well. Steph's been playing it out of his mind, but that's a game where I'm like, okay, there is some blowout potential. I could see that going one of two ways. Like if Golden State's playing well, okay, it's going to be a difficult game, but too often Golden State is just inconsistent and they get beat by 30.
Yes.
So it's hard for me to just say that's.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's going to be a fascinating couple of weeks. I mean, the season ends May 16th.
Yeah.
So
it's coming.
I mean, this is going to be really interesting. James Knight says, "Hey Monty, didn't you suggest that Phoenix were going to die a few weeks back? Phoenix is not going to die. I just don't think they're going to beat the Jazz would have to completely collapse for the Phoenix Suns to win the Western Conference. And I just don't see that happening. I think the team you got to watch here is the Lakers. When you get LeBron back, and how much of a gap can they close?
The Lakers need to be careful not being in the play-in tournament.
I agree.
They need to be very careful.
I totally agree, and that's why I'm saying, like, looking at the standings right now, they need LeBron back, and they need to start winning some games because right now, if you look at the Lakers, they're in the 5 spot by a game and a half.
That's it.
So
dude.
It's tight, and Dallas is a 500 team. All you need to do is win some games. But if I look at the Lakers' schedule, not to keep going back to the schedule matrix, if I look at the Lakers' schedule, until they get LeBron back, I think it's a rough road. I mean, Sacramento, Friday, they should pound Sacramento at Staples
Should be a win.
Center.
Should be a win.
Home for Toronto.
Should be a win.
Ooh. I'm telling you, Toronto's a tough out.
Okay, but
Without LeBron.
But don't say that about the Lakers. Then disagree with me on the Jazz, right? Like Toronto is a difficult team, man.
But
they are
the
difficult as hell.
The Jazz home court advantage, you're underplaying it. The Jazz at the Vivint are, I mean, the altitude, the style of play. It's difficult. Sunday home for Toronto for the Lakers. Monday home for Denver. You're back-to-back 3. And this is what I say, the Jazz are every other day. Mm-hmm. The Lakers and the Suns are 3 games in 4 nights. Mm. With a back-to-back of Toronto and Denver?
Mm-hmm. That's
Come
rough,
on.
dude.
Who
yeah,
hates
that's
the
rough,
Lakers
dude.
at the league office? Then by the way, you're off until Thursday when you're home away from home against the Clippers. Mm-hmm. Then you are back-to-back Thursday Clippers, Friday Portland, Sunday Phoenix, Tuesday Knicks, Wednesday Houston. Then you go on the road Saturday and Sunday to finish out the season with a back-to-back of Indiana and New Orleans.
You're welcome.
I'm like, who hates?
It's over.
Somebody hates the Lakers.
Yep.
They've got to get LeBron back, and there's some people who believe LeBron is back Friday against Sacramento.
He's ready to play now.
Yeah,
they're biding their time.
The Instagram video would show that.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you now, I don't believe the Suns are going to die. I just think it would require the Jazz to lose 5 of their last grouping, 5 of these last 12 games.
If they beat Phoenix tomorrow night, that would require a collapse. If they lose to Phoenix, we're having a different conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. JC says, morning, fellas. Niang should get big minutes in the playoffs. Well, look, I think the hot hatch that is George Niang, that's a car reference. They call him. Anyway, if I got to.
He's the minivan. The sliding doors open.
The sliding doors open. Yeah, JC, you could be right. I say at best 3-2. You think the Jazz are going to lose 2 of the next 5 games? That would be brutal.
So that would mean that you think they're going to lose to Phoenix, they're going to lose to Toronto. They'll then beat San Antonio both ways. They'll win both of those games,
and then
Golden State, and then you've got Denver.
Oof.
I'm telling you.
Anybody got tickets? Anybody that's got tickets for that Denver game, let me know. The Nye guy, if we played like we did last night, we'd beat teams made up of Kobe, Jordan, Kareem, Bird, and Jesus Christ. Don't forget Joseph Smith. I think the thing is, Joseph, look, man, I'm telling you, Kareem would be the sixth man because Joseph Smith and Jesus Christ as your power forward and center. My God, can you imagine the sacrament in that locker room? The point is, listen to me.
Wow.
That just happened on this show.
Wow.
Listen to me. Listen, Linda. The Jazz, I'm trying to be gentle. The Kings had more to do with that game than the Jazz did.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it at that. Eric C. says, Bojan soundbite, please.
Bojan Bogdanovic.
There you go. JC says Bojan. Exactly.
Bojan.
See, people are calling for it. James Knight says Jazz has a balancing act, deciding on staying healthy or the 1 seed. No, I think you got to get the 1 seed no matter what.
Have to, dude.
If they don't have home court advantage throughout, the Jazz will not win the Western Conference.
Does getting the 1 seed cost them Mike Conley for the postseason?
No. You know what cost them Mike Conley for the postseason? Not going and getting guys like Mike James, not doing anything at the trade deadline.
Excellent point.
That's what cost
Hello,
them.
we're not available now.
Oh, it's just, mailbox is full. It's not set up yet. It rings busy. Kenny says, can't believe we did that good without Mitchell and Conley. Again, not trying.
We've beat it into the ground. Go back in the show and listen. I mean,
Go Kings.
Yeah.
Forgotten Souls just puts the laughing face emoji there. I appreciate that. Hey, if you're not subscribed to our channel, you've got to subscribe right now because we're giving away this Xbox Series S. As soon as we get to 500 subscribers, we're giving it away. All you have to do is take a pic of your subscription. So hit subscribe, then take a photo. This is a phone.
It's an iPhone thingy majig
stuff. If you're an Android user, just unsubscribe now. Anyway, the point is, I probably shouldn't say that.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Please don't unsubscribe. The point is, take a picture that you're subscribed, tweet at us, The Monty Show, MONTY, The Monty Show, and at SLC Supercars, and you're entered to win this here jalopy of an Xbox, which is pretty awesome, by the way. We are currently at 456 subscribers, 44 to go.
I want it.
Brandon Whiteside says Matt Thomas greater than Devin Booker.
Oh, stop. Stop.
Look, Brandon,
Stop trolling.
It is very early to be huffing paint.
Schemers trying to control their little worlds.
Eric C. says Chelsea win another UEFA Champions League, Monty. Hey, Eric, where do you want me to send this? It's yours. Chelsea, yes. Chelsea left points on the practice field at Madrid the other day. What? We're playing on a practice field? I don't care if your stadium's under construction.